In this first assignment, you're also tasked with throwing a few larger forms or vase forms. I wanted all of these to be shaped as well. So I encourage you to not start off with 5 pounds of clay. You've been working with primarily about 2. So once you've started working with 2 pounds of clay and shaping them, feeling comfortable doing so, then maybe step to 3 pounds of clay, and that's what this is. And centering. There is really no difference in my centering process between a 2-pound piece of clay, a 3-pound piece of clay, a 4-pound piece of clay. When it gets larger than that, things may change slightly. The only thing that this is going to require is a little bit more strength from you. And while you're doing that, to be conscious that you're still remaining steady and having your body anchored. So when I'm coning up a larger piece of clay, one, it might take me a little bit longer to cone that form up. The other thing that may happen is that going like this and keeping my elbow down may be difficult. So I may need to lift my elbow up. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to still make sure that it's tight into my body. And I can start pushing down. Now, as I'm pushing down, I'm able to also use my body weight to push that form down. So I'm going to do that again. Because when you only have about 1 to 2 pounds of clay, just pushing down like this, you may be able to, even with 3. But some of you may need to add a little bit more resistance by using your body and leaning into the form. My opening is the same. I'm still going to do needle tool checks. Good. My widening is the same. My compressing is the same. My pulling, I'm still going to fix this shape. Of course, learning how to pull more clay can be difficult because you have to understand the amount of pressure that you need to put on the piece. So when I'm doing my first pull, I can be rather aggressive. And kind of learning that balance of how aggressive can I be compared to when am I going to rip the clay in half, that's going to take some practice. So I am going to indent and pull. So you see, even sometimes this happens to me. I get little bits that come off in my hand. It's okay. And again, I'm going to indent, pause, remember, I'm going to take my thumb on my left hand as soon as I can and bring it to touch my right hand. This will allow me to have more steadiness as I pull. I feel like this is getting a little wide here, so I'm just going to take a little bit of time to narrow that in. And I'm going to pull again. So, again, at this point, I cannot keep my elbow down and put this hand all the way in. So I'm going to need to lean my body over to my right, drop my hand down, and indent and move up. So again, as soon as I could take that thumb out, and I'll do one more pull. So, large form to shape. I'm going to do a simple shaping form, really similar to the smaller cylinder that I did earlier. I'm going to shape from here to here. My widest point is going to be about here. I'm having that in my head as I'm starting to shape. Fingers go down to the bottom. And I'm going to start pushing out slowly. Your shaping should be as slow as your pulling speed. So the idea is that the form is making one revolution. The wheel is spinning at least once before you move your hand up. This is going to avoid a spiral or an oddness in shaping where it's shaped and then not shaped, and that's more of a spiral because you're pushing out too quickly. So again, I'm going to go back. The outside hands are just supporting what I'm doing on the inside. They're not putting any pressure on. So again, notice how slow of a process this is. It's the same as pulling. You may want to do that simple counting in your head so you're not speeding things up too much. And I'll go back and shape one more time. Now I am going to want to go and use my metal rib tool again. Now remember, where I shaped, I'm going to want to push into the rib tool. The rib tool will not be pushing into the form. I'm pushing the form into this. So I'm hovering right next to it. I'm allowing the form to hit it. I'm allowing the slurry from the form to be taken off by that rib tool, and I'm allowing the curve and the form that I want to be refined by this tool. And I can go and do that again. now, I'm gonna wanna make sure I get all the water out of the interior. All right. Now remember, I can narrow this form by just hydrating a little bit on the outside, and I'm just gonna squeeze very lightly up. If this happens, don't be nervous. Re-steady the form. Now I'm going to go in and use my rib tool, and I'm going to now press the rib tool into the form. Hand inside is always supporting. Notice that when I'm shaping, when I'm refining as well, my wheel speed is even slower than when I'm pulling. Centrifugal force will pull the form out if you do not maintain that wheel speed to be a little slower, especially as your form expands. Okay. Lip is steady. There's no water in the interior. So I now can take this form down, remove excess clay.